So far in the Grand Am Cup's Grand Sports Divisions, V8 power has meant points, as the Powell Motorsports Vet and the Max-Q Motorsports Mustang both lead their classes. Can the rest answer back? We'll find out next, right here on Speed. Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very warm but cooling off evening here at Watkins Glen International Raceway for the fourth round of the Grand Am Cup Street Stock Series. This is the standalone race for Grand Sport Divisions 1 and 2. I'm Greg Creamer, joined by Jeremy Dale. Sandy Hang and Guy Hobbs will be down in the pit lane. And in that open, we talked about, Jeremy, that it's been V8 power that has been points so far, but here at the Glen, up front, it's all Porsches.
Well, no question, the Corvettes have been dominant thus far in this season in terms of race wins, but the Porsches have dominated the front of this grid, and that does not bode well for the Corvettes here at Watkins Glen.
Well, we talked about it being all Porsches, and Sandy Hang is standing by with one of the co-drivers from the fastest of those cars. Sandy?
Danny Marshall, you and Darren put this on the pole. What's your strategy? How many stops and how many stints for you?
Well, first of all, let's clarify. Darren put this car on the pole. I'm just along for the ride. Our strategy is probably going to be 2 stops. If the track goes, if the race goes green the whole time, we maybe could do it on 1 stop, but we're probably going to have to do 2 stops.
So Darren will start, you'll run the middle, and will you put Darren back in to finish?
Well, we're always going to put the racehorse back in to gallop us to the finish, but we plan on doing that so we can get to the finish and win this race.
Okay, that's Danny Marshall along with Darren Law putting their car on pole.
And Darren Law has been something of a qualifying phenom so far this season. Very, very fast indeed, but he's got guys named Maxwell and Empringham in the car next to him. And then, of course, Randy Popst is here, sort of a one-off for Randy in this series. But big stories developing in the GS2 division. For more on that, let's go down to Guy.
In the GS2 class, there's problems with the 04 Audi of Alejandro Halins because he qualified on the pole, but then after qualifying inspection, they discovered they had too much fuel capacity on his car, so they put him at the back of the GS2 class. And in the GS1 class, John Powell, of course, the team owner with Devin Powell and Doug Goad running, they've also had their problems, and they will also start at the back. John, what exactly was the problem with you in the technical inspection?
The rules used to call for a 25-gallon fuel cell. We have that, but when we fitted the Grand Am dry brake, there's about half a gallon in the 2 nozzles that you can overfill. Their interpretation of the regulations is it's total fuel capacity. So they write the rules, we agree. We put a displacement block in the tank, but we didn't do that for qualifying. And we started the back. It'll be fun to watch.
Can you do this on 1 stop?
If the race goes 74 laps, we can do it on 1 stop. It's unlikely that it'll go 74 laps. I don't think there'll be cautions. So the answer is no. So if it goes all green, pit crews are going to make a big difference here.
All right, watch out for the number 11 coming from the back.
Thanks very much, Guy, and it is going to be interesting. Those guys are so fast in the back, both of those cars. Let's bring you now right to our starting lineup. Front row is a good one. Darren Law and Scott Maxwell, 2 very fast drivers, will fill out that front row, both in Porsches. Second row will be Randy Popst and Devin Powell, the Porsche and that vet. Now, of course, that's where Powell qualified. He'll start last, which allows another Porsche to slot up into the top 4. That's the Lacey Wilkins machine. Then it's going to be Martini and Wagner. They'll be sharing a car, joined in that next row with Baker and Levitas and another Porsche. Then yet another Porsche. The team car to that number 18 entry is Martin and Schramm. Now that's John Morton. Talk about some experience. Now we go back a little bit further. In the 13th spot was where Lintz actually qualified that Audi. They start in the back, so Howie Liebengood in the BMW M3 from Comprep will start the number 49 car on the GS2 pole. Joining him in that category will be the TF Racing Mustang from Schneider, Kohler, and Smith. So it's promising to be very interesting indeed. And the pace car has made its way down into pit lane, and this standalone 250-miler for the Grand Sports class is about to pick up the green for the 4th round of the championship. And the green flies, and boy, big split on that front row, way down to the inside, but look at the move, the red Porsche.
And that is Randy Popst, I believe, in that red Porsche, and he comes from 3rd on the grid and takes the race lead out of turn 1.
You know, it's interesting, Sandy Hang, right before this race started, we were chatting with her, and she said, Popst and Law have a very friendly but intense rivalry, and Popst winked at her and said, I'm taking Darren in this opening lap. He didn't even wait till the first turn.
Question about that. Very bold move. The great thing about Watkins Glen is that it's very wide down that main straightaway. It leaves a lot of room for passing, but I'll tell you what, Darren Law is not done.
No, he's got the bit here. Look at Popes defending. and forces Law back into line. This is a huge field in this division, 38 cars strong that are underway here through the inner loop, now through this long right-hander, and of course this is the long course we're running here, Jeremy, not the Cup short course, the real road course here. And right here, instead of continuing on around that right-hander, they drop down the hill into this great left-hand corner.
Turn 6 down the hill. It's like a tunnel down there. You can see the barriers very close to the racetrack. Look at Darren Law glued to the rear bumper of Randy Popes as they head to the toe of the boot.
Now this is one of those situations where there's a personal rivalry here, friendly but intense, as I said. Darren's obviously got the bid. He wants to get back around Randy. He wants to make him pay for that insult he threw at him in the first turn. But this is a 3-hour race, or 250 miles, whichever comes first. So Darren's got to be a little smart about it.
Well, he got a great run out of the toe. He was able to kind of pinch the exit off, but he did get power down and got out of that corner better than Randy Pope. So he has made that pass, and if Darren Law holds the lead here to the start-finish line, officially, Randy Popes will have never led a lap so far.
Well, and of course, this rivalry is intense. Guy?
Important note on Randy Popes, they're running a standard fuel cell on that Porsche of his, so he's only got 18 gallons, so he's going to be at a disadvantage over the other Porsches as this race unwinds.
That's interesting. They're going to have to definitely go with 2 stops, but they have 3 drivers that are slated to possibly drive the car. And the number 45 has looped it. That is the Michael Baum Racing entry. Michael Baum, sponsored by Utility Supply Company, and just cut it up the curve. I don't even think he got into anything. So he gets away with it. But right now, 3 Porsches are out there. Popes is splitting them. But that third-place car is Scott Maxwell. And, of course, Maxwell with his teammate David Emery won the opening round of the championship at Daytona. And this car has been well placed on a couple of occasions as well. Do not count them out. So Law leads now. Popes stays close. Ebringham's watching all the action here as we dive into the inner loop in the very early goings here at Watkins Glen. Welcome back to Watkins Glen as we are early on in this 4th round of the Grand Am Cup Street Stock Series. Here are your leaders. Darren Law still in front of Randy Popes, who's pretty merciless right now on the amount of pressure he's applying in their little family feud. The interesting thing is those 2 guys and Maxwell are running in the 204s, right in that range. Then it jumps to 206 for the next group of cars. So these Porsches, at least these lead 3, are absolutely set and sail.
Yeah, these lead 3 cars. You see Maxwell just a few, maybe a second and a half, 2 seconds behind these 2 cars, but they've got 8 seconds on the 4th place car. But the pace that these 2 guys are throwing down here is really, really intense.
Well, I mean, Law qualified at a 203.18, so I'm a 203.2, and he just turned a 204 flat. Pope just turned a 203.9, so they are going unbelievably quickly. Now, one of the stories that we wanted to talk about, and we didn't get to it in the starting lineup, is the car that had qualified in the 10th spot was your Phoenix winner. They had a problem in qualifying, and now in the race, right there in that spot shadow, Jeremy, went around, and nobody was near him.
No, you can see there was no one around that Corvette, and we did talk during the break. One of our pit reporters did speak with Shane Lewis, and you can see that car very unstable under braking. And Shane believes there's possibly a braking problem with the car, though the car hasn't come in yet. So that is hopefully something that is sorting itself out.
Well, there is not a maker who is trying to sort through things, and not only the brake problem, but curious as to what may have been the problem in qualifying. Sandy Hank, you have Shane Lewis.
First, the brake problem, Shane. You said there was a problem. Describe what happens with the ABS in a car sometimes.
Well, most of the components we run in the brake system are stock from GM. The only difference we really have are bigger front calipers. So it utilizes all the ABS system, and when that fails, we have no way to recycle it. And once it fails, we really don't have the balance we need with the brakes, and it's really, really difficult to get slowed down, as well as it's the unbalanced situation in the car. So he's having a tough time out there right now.
Is there an indicator light that comes on? Does the driver know?
Yeah, there's a big light that says, the big ABS light that comes on, but you know well before that light comes on because it's in big trouble.
Well, this car has been a lot faster than the qualifying position indicates. What happened?
Well, we started off obviously with a good weekend's time coming off with the momentum from Phoenix. The win at Phoenix helped us a lot. But we've been struggling with a few issues here, trying to get the power down some of the high-speed areas. We don't have the downforce the Porsches do, and we're really having a difficult time with that right now.
Okay, that's Shane Lewis. Guys?
Thanks very much, Sandy. And again, his first practice time was within a half second of the time that Law set for pole, and there again, you see exactly what they were talking about, and I mean, it's just slocking up, and it's probably making no sense to Nonamaker right now.
That did not look friendly. That looked more like a super bike than a race car. Well, these Corvettes were very strong at Phoenix and Fontana racetracks, and for that matter, quite good at Homestead as well. But those have been the racetracks that have been not so dependent on downforce. They've been more dependent on get out of the corner and go, more point and squirt racetracks. And the Porsches clearly here at Watkins Glen with these longer, faster flowing corners have been much, much quicker than the Corvettes.
Well, while they continue to chase the Porsches, keep in mind they have had a very good run in the championship. And of course, these street stock cars are based on a stock machine, and Shane Lewis explained the difference earlier.
The Z06 Street Corvette has a lot in common with her sister, the racing Corvette. Shane Lewis drives the number 43 Planet Earth Corvette. What are the main differences? I know you see the nose right away.
Well, yeah, one of the things that you notice right off the bat is that the front nose piece is a little bit different. All the rest of the body panels, though, are the same as the production Z06 Corvette. They allow us a little different nose piece to create a little more downforce in the front, also a small lip in the back to allow some downforce in the back of the car as well.
What about the changes that you don't see?
Well, those are the big changes. Under the hood, the stock Z06 comes with an incredible 405 horsepower engine, which is just great for a street car off that you can buy off the showroom floor. But our race car has the modifications of a different camshaft, a different exhaust system, and a dry sump oiling system. This allows us to bring it up to about 475 horsepower, which is an incredible, incredible machine.
How about brakes?
Well, that's one of the things. Once you get this much power, we obviously got to get it to stop. We're fortunate enough to have Stop Tech brakes on board with us this year. They've given us some incredible parts. We use those in conjunction with the stock rear calipers, gives us great braking performance.
Basically, what that tells you is within a little bit of performance ratio, that stock vet is one very potent machine, so able to get the job done. Meanwhile, getting the job done out front, you see Randy Pope's back around Darren Law as their personal feud here continues just a little bit. And again, they're good friends. It's just, you know, sometimes your most intense competitor is one of your best friends, and Pope has the upper hand right now, but oh, he almost got squeezed, and he almost lost it. And there's the indication he wasn't too happy about that. But Darren Law not going to waste any time, and Darren dives to the inside. And you can see Pope's accepted right away that he was done and cooked at that moment.
There wasn't much reason to fight that, and Darren Law was able to just sneak through there and take the lead back again. But yes, you mentioned, Greg, that Randy Pope was probably not very happy with the driver in the Mustang. But, you know, that's the way it goes. I mean, when you are working your way through traffic, you can see Law now with the headlights on as these guys are coming through the lap traffic. That's what you've got to put up with.
Well, and you're going to be in traffic pretty much for the entirety of the 250-miler that's unfolding right here at Watkins Glen. Welcome back, everybody. As we bring you back up to speed, we have a full course yellow pace car waiting to come out on track just a few moments ago. Field now under control, and here's why. Big hit in the interlude.
And that was Richard Polidori in his Mustang, and unfortunately he got into the barrier. I think those foam blocks really helped save the front of that car, but it was too much damage. Richard very much did the right thing and pulled it right off the racetrack, but that car is done. The 01 car with Darren Law came in. They stopped for fuel, also changed drivers, as did the number 76 car of Scott Maxwell.
A couple of interesting strategy moves, obviously trying to stretch fuel, make it a one-stop. Question for the 01 car is now with Danny Marshall in, is the pace going to be enough to stay in the hunt here? Lights out in the pace car. We anticipate going right back to green here and resuming action at the event. Boy, you can see a little bit of a pack up. Meanwhile, Pope's now with the pace car in, rolls into the throttle, and as he draws away, he's got John Morton right behind him, and that's how they're going to head down to the first turn. And here comes the fan out, and it is substantial as they head down into turn one. And this yellow, a godsend for that blue Corvette there, the number 43 Planet Earth Motorsports entry, as that machine is able to, at least at this stage, sort of settle in on those brake problems. Meanwhile, sweeping around the outside of that car goes the 02. That's the Hayner-Weinberger. That's the team car to the Powell entry. And of course, if Stu Hayner's behind the wheel, you know that that is going to be one very fleet package this early in the going. Opens it up a little bit. You can see Nonamaker behind him, and I'm sure right now that Joe a little leery of those brakes. So right behind Joe, you got a glimpse of that's Devin Powell, and he is quickly moving up through the pack. There he is, the yellow vet at the back of that group, and Devin Powell has hustled from up way deep in the pack now, well up into the top 10. In fact, as they cross the finish line, he shows to be in the 8th spot, and you know he's not going to stay put there for long. we were watching Jeremy, the lap times that he's turning, and they're well off what we know he's capable of and what they've been turning all weekend, but it's because he continually now catches traffic that's packing up like that.
Well, yeah, when you're stuck in driven cars like this, it's tough to stretch your legs, although I would have thought he would have been able to have a run on that black Porsche down into the toe of the boot. This is where the Corvette is going to, should excel in terms of horsepower climbing the hill.
You know, pretty impressive when you think about it. Joe Nonamaker, a spin, another big lurid moment and the like, and he is still in 6th spot. Of course, 2 of the cars in front of him pitted during that yellow, as we were talking about. The number 76 machine did as well. That's the car that was running in the 3rd spot. They left Scott Maxwell on board, just took on fuel. And we even heard, as we watched Paul Mears Jr. here in the number 66 Speed Source Porsche, when Guy was talking with John Powell of that team, that number 11 Corvette was very marginal on being able to make it one. And big moment there. Then almost speared onto the track right in front of Nonamaker. And now just trying to get that machine under control. And that's turn 10. That's a very high-speed corner to be going on.
That is very, very quick there. One of the quickest corners on the racetrack. And look at the Audi also coming to the pit lane. That's unusual. I believe that was the 04 car.
That's the car that started along with the 11 at the very back of the pack, and in about 2 laps made its way to the lead in the GS2 category, and frankly was absolutely flying. And now that car has just absolutely, he has pulled into the pits early, and they too may be worried about being able to make it in 1 stop. To bring you up to speed on the Audi's problems here. Remember, he started last. Here you show him right back there with that number 11 vet at the green. They both started a march through the pack, and he was flying, although Howie Liebed good. This was for the lead, and it took him no time to get there, and he finally got by Howie. But as you can see, a little bit of damage when he came into the pit lane to that car. He obviously got there, you can see it, into a shoving match. Sometimes you just don't have patience when you're trying to get to the front. But they were very concerned, well, about fuel, but obviously it is a more concern than that. The damage to the front end may be a problem with the radiator.
It may in fact be. I mean, when the car's up on the jack and the hood is up like that, and no one's even bothering with fuel and tires and the normal things you stop in the pit lane for, then that tells you it's a whole different set of problems.
Well, they obviously used up that car a bit, did young Mr. Alejandro Lintz, trying to get to the front. He's incredibly quick, but patience, of course, may be a little bit of an issue there, and he obviously got into a shoving match with 1 or 2 cars on his way through. So, and that's how things are working right now. Meanwhile, Randy Popes continues to lead and looks fairly comfortable as he draws away. Oops, and another off by Nonamaker. The brake problems that they were alluding to, obviously keeping him awfully busy, and I would think incredibly frustrated in the cockpit of that car. It's his 2nd off.
And I think this is going to call for full course yellow, Greg. That car definitely stuck in the pea gravel unless the Grand Am officials are willing to send a rescue vehicle out there to haul it out and leave these cars under green conditions. That is going to call for a full course caution.
You could almost see the hand gestures inside the cockpit there. Joe has got to be frustrated. He's got to throw his hands up like, what do I need to do here? Good look there at the 2 Porsches that run Team Turbo Performance. That's Freddie Baker's equip. He's very involved in that. Fred Baker Porsche, one of the sponsors, and Freddie drives the 18 car with Mike Levitas and the 23 entry of Mike Schramm and Evergreen John Morton. Boy, this guy is still racing, still going quick.
Yeah, John, boy, talk about a wealth of experience. I've raced with John a number of times, and a great individual, a great race car driver, very relaxed, just really enjoys his racing, and the right guy to have on your team, no question about it.
As you said, an immense amount of experience, and in a long endurance race like this, that can pay big dividends. But no lack of experience here with the number 25. That is Randy Pope, having a good one here. But the vets, well, they're struggling a little bit as well. We are yellow here at the Glen. The reason is some paint trading that's been going on. First of all, this one was all by himself. Joe Nonamaker still fighting the brakes, but watch this hit in the 09 Automatic Racing BMW. Boom, at the exit of the inner loop into that foam, and you can see it exploded out. And that's one of the reasons we're yellow. Fortunately, driver just fine, having a chat with one of the medical workers. I'm sure he's going to feel it in the morning. And then here comes the number 93 Glen 2 Racing Camaro. Gets it all crossed up in front of the number 96 Mike Bauman Firebird, and a big thump. We are back to green, And we'll see how long it lasts this time. And here's the move. That's that 81. Took a look, then decided the better of it. Perhaps the big story, though, is the car right behind this group of 3 Porsches in that 4th spot. That is Devin Powell in that Powell Motorsports Corvette, points leader in the GS1 division here. And they expressed those concerns early on about being able to get it done in fuel-wise in these long yellows. They have not elected to come in. They have been stretching fuel with these yellows. What do you think?
I'm a little bit surprised by that because I think a lot of the teams, what a great battle up front here, a lot of the teams that decided to stop during this yellow will be able to make it on one stop definitely from this point out. Now maybe they feel they're going to be able to do that regardless, but boy, you'd rather just have that in your back pocket and throw a load of fuel in it and off you go. The car that's sitting 5th right now, just behind this group of 4, is the number 76. That's Scotty Maxwell in his Porsche. They did top up with fuel, and he is coming.
He's coming like a freight train, no question of that. There he is right behind that car. And we've got an intra-team battle up front between the 2 Team Turbo Performance machines. Although right now, Morton's car, he's opened it up just a little bit here. I'm sure the message is coming. Go ahead and race hard, but make sure you don't get into each other. Then it's the G&W number 81 right behind them. Powell, boy, big power slide through the toe of the boot there as he accelerates up. And he's got to be a little careful of that. And here comes Maxwell, just what you were talking about.
Maxwell not quite enough, and I think Maxwell is the quickest of these 5 cars, no question about it. And what he will be wanting to do is work his way through this group of cars and hopefully get a bit of a lead. The top 3 cars, early on, Maxwell, Popst, and of course the car of Darren Law. All 3 of those cars did stop under yellow and top up with fuel. So those cars now sitting a little bit further back in the field. Scott Maxwell in the best position of the 3. There is Brent Martini in the number 81 car, Devin Powell in the 94 car, and Scott Maxwell.
Good look at Martini there, but he is going to get usurped by some V8 power right here, or at least the attempt. Now the Porsche brakes, see if we can equalize it. Boy, Martini fighting back hard. Actually got Powell. He had to just drop a tire up onto that curb and into the grass just a little bit to avoid Martini, and Scott Maxwell thought, well, maybe an opportunity here. Not quite enough. Now they work up the S's, but Martini, I guess you don't have to make it easy. You just have to make it possible if the guy actually can get by you.
Well, Powell got a better run off turn 11, but Brent Martini very good on the brakes down into 1. Now Powell's got another run, and it looks like he's got it done this time heading to the inner loop. You don't want to run side by side through that first apex.
Powell moves up now, picks up the 3rd spot. Martini back to 4th. Maxwell starts the attack on Martini right now as they head down toward the expanded section of track here.
Well, us road racers think of this as Watkins Glen.
Yes, I quite agree. So
Brent Martini a little defensive down into turn 6, and as a result they drop off about a car length or 2 from Devin Powell.
And look at Powell as he's thinking about going down the inside of the number 18 Porsche. Tight inside line. That Porsche gives him room, but he has a little bit better exit speed and is able to accelerate away. It's a good effort by Powell, and some very clean racing. That could have easily ended up with a little nudge here or there. And both drivers obviously professional, doing a nice job. Meanwhile, Maxwell pulls out, and he wasn't close enough to Martini that time.
Come out of turn 8, climb the hill here up into turn 9. Turn 9 pretty tough. It levels off here as you get to the apex, quite blind on the approach. That's where you rejoin the short course. You can see the extension there down from the loop. And now the run into turn 10, very, very quick left-hander.
Now, you were talking about the fuel scenario and some of the pit stops. Well, the number 25 of Pope's actually pit twice, so they may have done the magic job in trying to stretch their fuel with that small tank. We'll find out when we come back. First of all, big moment here is that was Devin Powell got a run at our race leader, John Morton, the number 23 machine, and makes the pass stick, gets underneath, and finds himself in the lead and was able to start drawing away. But the issue then became the fact that Scott Maxwell took up the attack as well, and right here moves out and goes by.
And Maxwell with a pretty bold move coming down the hill into turn 6. And John didn't fight that too much. Now here was the move for the lead. This was Scott Maxwell. Puts a real kind of, that is at Watkins Glen, that is a bit of a sleazy move, but I'll take it anyway. Now the question is, fuel economy is going to be a big issue here. Scott Maxwell has stopped. They'd stopped on one of the earlier yellows. They topped that car up So we would expect those guys to be able to go without question with one more stop, at which point David Everingham will get in that car. The 11 car has not stopped, and they are going to roll the dice, and they're going to try and run that car on one stop.
It's going to be an interesting development here, and let's not forget the number 81 G&W car, Brent Martini and Court Wagner. We understand they came in for a quick splash during one of the early yellows, and Brent Martini doing a superb job right now, has that car solid 4th place, just kind of watching, laying back a little bit. They get to turn over to Court Wagner.
Yeah, there is Brent Martini. There you can see a piece of bodywork off someone's car there at the foot of the long back straightaway. But yeah, Martini's been doing a nice job running in the 205 range, about 7 seconds behind the race leader, Scott Maxwell. So that car is very well placed. And as you said, Greg, they did top up on fuel on the yellow, so I think they're looking to be in good shape.
There's a quick look at the number 43 Planet Earth Motorsports machine, and he has had a tough day indeed. There's the 01 of Darren Law, who qualified so well early, but struggling during the race here. There's absolutely no question of that. The GS2 leader right now is the number 17 machine, and that's the Mustang Cobra R, the Zippo manufacturing entry of Kohler and Smith. And they have quietly put together a very effective race in that number 17 machine. Right close at hand is a number 52, and that's the Rayhagen Racing Mustang Cobra SVT as well. So those two cars having a very good battle right there. That is it, 4th position and the lead in the Grand Sports 2 division here. And it's really been quite an entertaining race. For a little while, we had one of the Speed Source Porsches way up, but they had not stopped, and they apparently now have stopped and have dropped well off the pace. I don't know that these two drivers have stopped either, but they're certainly putting on an entertaining show.
Well, they are on the lead lap overall, so they've not been lapped, although we have had a couple of yellows here. As you said earlier, it has been packed with incidents here.
Speed line across the top gives you the current running order, and you can see the margins at this stage. And it's fairly close up, although the Freddie Baker's number 18 machine has dropped off after being fairly close at hand. But the real action here is the closest race on the track right now, after everything's settled up front, is this battle in GS2, and it is a real intense battle right now as they come into frame. Here are the two Mustangs, Cobra R's, and you can see just how close that battle is with the Kohler Smith Zippo entry, all of our length and a half right now in front of the number 52 one. They're running for 10th overall at this stage, but more importantly to them certainly is that battle in the Grand Sprite. Check that. This is the battle for 10th right here, which is also very strong, and that is the Wellman Tremblay Speed Source Porsche and the car that started on pole, the 01 entry, Danny Marshall now behind the wheel, and they've done a great job trying to keep that car up on the lead lap, because of course when they come in and make their stop, they'll turn it back over and Darren Law will get in, and the thing is, he just needs to be close to be in the hunt here, and that's what Danny Marshall's job is here. So right now, that is a good battle for 10th. Behind them, the battle for the GS2 division unfolds, and up front, it's a great run by Scotty. Back to the Glen, we bring you up to speed to what happened while we were away. First, the pit stop by the number 11 vet. Now, this happened under green. Shortly thereafter, just a couple laps later, two cars involved buried in the pea gravel in turn one, full course yellow. The then leading 76 Porsche in. Now look at the fuel man. He's struggling. That is not yet pumping in fuel, and it really backed him up just a little bit, but it was under yellow. That helped. Then the 81 came in. That had had such a good run. Martini out and getting on board Court Wagner, but they dropped, look at this, they dropped the tire down right on top of the air gun, which made the air gun not work. They had to raise it up, make it happen again. And then after the 76 stop, watch this. There's 76 exiting the pits, and just coming into frame is going to be the vet. Right there, that is the margin that we have right now, and we are back to green flag. And Jeremy, the whole issue is however many seconds may or may not have been lost with that refueling problem could raise their head huge here as this race unfolds.
Well, they did get a little bit lucky there because they did sneak out in front of the number 11 Corvette. And you can see these cars are now buried back in the field a little bit. There is the Corvette. And which one of the Porsches is that? Is that the 76 car or the 7 car?
That's going to be interesting, because if that's the 76 car, this thing is taking on a whole new look.
That is your race lead. So that is the battle for the lead.
Boy, Doug Goad wasting absolutely no time in going after David Embringham, now behind the wheel of that 76 and going after him furiously. Now, there's little doubt that when you get in traffic, even though the Porsche's on a clear track here, qualifying for him a bit quicker, in traffic, the torque of that V8 is going to help you out a little bit, even here.
Well, remember, Goad was in before the yellow. David Embringham has just come into this car cold under yellow, and he gets a little wide there in the toe of the boot, and Goad plants the left front of the Corvette into the right rear of that Porsche.
Both great saves, certainly from Embringham, and Goad actually got bounced up over the inside curbing. He had to let things settle a little bit as well, but getting a little physical here. Here we go. Watch it again, Jeremy.
Up into the toe of the boot, and Dave's just a little bit slower, but I think what he's doing is he's hanging back. He doesn't want to catch the traffic in the middle of the corner, but he does slip a little bit wide. Goad says, hey, I'll go up in there, but Dave is coming back into the apex, and the two of them end up touching. Goad puts it up on the inside. Dave skirts to the outside a little bit, and they maintain positions on the run up to turn 8.
Part of the problem, you pointed it out, was that Embringham came out, they did do tires, so his tires are not up to heat, and it's going to take a little bit to get there, because when he came out under yellow, and they couldn't exactly just drop the hammer and go. Look there by Stu Hainer. Here comes Goad. This is for the lead, and those warm tires to good effect just dynamited the brakes, just shot through underneath. Now Embringham, good run at the exit of the turn. He looks to the inside. Goad drops the hammer on the V8. Embringham can do nothing with it at this point, and Goad actually, boy, he was sparking as he was heading up the hill. So much load on the left side of that car, and I don't know, Embringham, something, he's not exactly up to speed. Here comes, that's the 01 Porsche, Darren Law now. It's a long ways down the order, but Law coming at him and going after Embringham big time.
Yeah, that car is a lap down, that 01 car. So Darren Law now trying to get past Embringham. They'll try and get past the 11 car, get that car back on the lead lap, but Doug Goad with a great move down into turn 1. Of course, all set up coming onto the main straightaway, got an excellent run, pops out with plenty of time, doesn't give Embringham a whole lot of room, keeps his radius nice and big for turn 1, and that is a textbook pass, no question about it.
Not only textbook, but he went by and was well clear of Embringham before he even got to the corners. You said that allowed him to keep that radius there, but boy, he got in very deep on the brakes, and it worked again, perhaps a function of the tires that have been brought up to heat here, although it's still warm here, even though it's evening here at the Glen. He shouldn't be much of a problem for Embringham for long. Welcome back to the Glen. Want to bring you up to speed from when we left you. Number 49, that's John Lloyd, second in the GS2 division at the time, but having some problems, and this time it caught him out. The car died, and that was it. Meanwhile, we had a restart. Great opportunity for David Embringham, but instead he got snookered.
He did get snookered. He seemed to be just a little bit asleep on this restart, and Darren Law came up the inside, Stu Hainer, and it was a real traffic jam there. And Dave did end up coming out third in line, but couldn't capitalize, and then a car into the barrier here at the end of the back straightaway.
Yeah, we went green, and then another yellow now by the number 47, the Zippo machine. That was Gary Smith. Just got it wrong coming into the inner loop, just tagged that barrier on the inside and broke something on the car, was dead stick, had to go yellow once again. I mean, these were two very fast yellows that occurred here, but they've got it cleaned up. Pace car lights are out. We expect it to head in, and what we'll be watching very closely now is what kind of a restart number 76 Embringham can get this time if he can stay close. Also keep in mind that Hainer now is behind Law, and Embringham immediately protects to the inside, and that blunts that attack, and looks like he's even a little bit closer to Goad as they head down in there. I don't think it's going to be enough, or is he going to try? No. But hey, he held the spot, didn't let anybody get back by him.
Well, unfortunately for Dave, it's his best shot at picking up that lead. And you can see it's starting to get a little dark here. And there is Stu Hainer around the 01 car. That is a pass for position. Those guys are battling. They are a lap down, but that is the battle for 6th.
Now that black Porsche that's right sort of in the midst of all that, that is the car that is currently running third. Mike Fitzgerald, again, if you've been watching World Challenge Racing on Speed Channel the last couple of years, that name should certainly ring a bell, as he has been one of the real stalwarts and front runners in that division. He's sitting third right now, but the car right behind him, interesting story, that car ducked into the pits right when that yellow came out. Kurt Wagner, they topped it off with a little bit of fuel. He came back out, stayed right there in the top 5, and that's for position. Now you'll note that red Porsche that's coming up and streaming through this group, that is one Randy Pokes, who by over a second has the fastest lap of the day here, but the problem for him is he's a good couple laps off the pace. And look at Fitzgerald. Oh, the squeeze play. Law absolutely caught out Fitzgerald to the inside. Law was worrying, think about Popes, and Fitzgerald saw an opportunity and just leapt on it.
And those guys just steamrolled Darren Law there. But I'll tell you, this is also for position. Randy Popes now coming through. Not that pass there, but Randy Popes has the potential here to come up. And oh, look at Stu Hayner in the Corvette. He's slowing down.
Now he's back. Ooh, Fitzgerald. Looked like, I think Hayner just got into the back. There's a wrinkle now in that right rear quarter panel of that Porsche, and I think he got just a little bit of a nudge from the 02 Vet, loosened him up, but he was able to save it. But Popes right now on the fly, and it's come up and it's going after, and that is for position, lap down to the overall lead. But these guys are just hooked up here. Let's go back and take a look at that, Jeremy, right here.
Well, this was great. There's Darren Law in the blue car, and Popes is the one with the monster run. As you say, Darren Law just got left in the middle there, and Popes with an unbelievable run into the toe of the boot, goes right around the outside of Law, then goes around the outside of the black number 16 Porsche.
Now, looks almost like Hayner may have missed a shift here, and then watch right here. Boom. Flipped them. And Fitzgerald able to save it, but definitely got loosened up.
Well, the guy that made out like a bandit on that last lap was Randy Popes. He's the one with the blinking left front light there, and that's because it looks like it's an electrical connection issue there. But he is now up to 6th place. He is a lap down to the guys in front of him.
That was the point I was going to make. Right now, the number 11 Vet of Goad leads at 76, Embringham in the Porsche. Second, Fitzgerald, number 16, the black Porsche is third. Then Wagner in the Martini sponsorship-looking car, the Porsche is fourth. And then the Lacey Wilkins team entry is in the 5th spot, number 7. But then everybody that's mixed in with this group is a lap down. But then you're looking at the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th spot. So it's huge. Here's our biggest movers. And look at Goad, up 35 spots that team has done from the race start. Fitzgerald up a good 12 spot. Lapsevich running a GS2 up 11. So very, very close indeed. But the story, here is your leader. And Embringham stays close, but just doesn't seem to have enough to be able to take a serious run at Goad. But behind him, the action is absolutely furious for 3rd, 4th, 5th, and then that battle for 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th unfolding as well. We're closing in on the end here. Darkness is closing in as well. It's going to be interesting here at the Glen. Don't go anywhere. Unbelievable move around the outside. Embringham just swept around Doug Goad, and it was all set up by a little bog that Goad experienced, and Embringham, a huge run through the S's.
Well, catching a lap car coming up the hill, and that red car, number 25, is Randy Popes trying to stay on the lead lap, and here it was. There was a lot leading up to this, but this was the duel in the braking zone between Embringham on the right in the number 76 Porsche and Doug Goad in that Corvette. And Embringham, who at about 2 laps ago was about 4 seconds back, has come from nowhere, and here he is to take this race lead in the late stages.
Well, I wonder, one of the problems was Goad certainly got into some traffic that held him up a little bit, and Embringham got a run. But I wonder the fuel situation possibly for Goad, and also he's been running some blindingly fast laps trying to stay with or get back in front of Pope. He didn't run the rear tires off.
Well, you might be right about that, Greg, because I have been watching Doug Goad. He's been sliding that car a little bit. That, you know, and that's very fair. I mean, all these guys have been driving the wheels off these cars, and that's just the reality. But now this is a straight fight between Doug Goad and David Embringham, and there is the white flag. So 1 lap to go for David Embringham, and it's about 0.6 of a second back to the Corvette of Doug Goad.
And then the 3rd car in line, of course, is Popes. Now keep in mind that he's out of this in terms of he's a lap down. But now there was a couple of moments, though. One of them right here, the 81, that's the 2nd G&W car of Court Wagner. And what happened, they've been in a battle with the number 16, that black Porsche Fitzgerald, and he just got around the outside. He was 3rd at the time and looped it.
Whoa, here we go.
Out. Oh, here we go. This is for the lead. This is on that long, long run, side by side. Same deal. Goad tries. He's trying to force it. They touch. And Embringham, rock solid, refuses to give way. Goad tried everything. Embringham hangs on, but there was a little leaning, a little grinding, And now traffic, they're going to get through there, more traffic up in front, and here they head down into the boot.
What a battle into the inner loop, and this traffic could be a factor. You can see Doug Goad actually hangs back a little bit to get a run, and if David Embringham can get around the outside, there he goes. But I'll tell you, as you come to the toe of the boot, you can run side by side here up this hill.
Embringham, he has to take him in deep, which he did. Beautifully judged by Embringham. Had he stayed tight and rode that apex, I think we've seen it before. Goad could have ramped around the outside. Embringham went in deep and then stayed off that apex a little bit and froze Goad. What a nice piece of driving by Embringham, but Goad is not giving up. Pressure in just huge magnitude right now. Oh, Embringham loose, big wobble, and look at that. He knew where Goad was going to go with it, so he stayed inside, but this is going to give Goad a great run.
But that's it. Doug Goad very, very much in the marbles there at turn 9, and he has lost touch with Embringham. Both those cars very much sideways, coming off 8 lane strips of rubber, but that was it right there.
That was the race, perhaps. Last turn. Goad, though, coming back, but now he's way wide. Too much speed in, up on the curb. Keeps it together, but Embringham gets the win. Goad, an unbelievably wild ride, and tears up the left front corner of the car, but gets second nonetheless. Remember, he came in as the points leader, so that won't hurt too bad. But Embringham, they were close. They won in Daytona. They get another one today. But what a finish here.
He's not going to be a happy boy. I promise you that, Greg. He's really going to, I think, feel that that the Porsche got in his way in the late stages of this race, Randy Popes. And into the last corner, he's just so hot, never in the racing line, very wide, and does a great job to make that, really to minimize that incident. Doug Goad did.
And he stops, damage. The car is smoking, problems for Goad, but it's all over. It doesn't matter. So that's the scenario. Pope's argument would probably be, I wanted to be on that lead lap in case there was a late yellow. I don't know about that. Meanwhile, there is your leader coming around to perhaps pick up another win in the GS2 division. That's the Asentado and Longy Mustang. We'll be back. Welcome back to Watkins Glen, where the 4th round is complete, and Sandy Hang in victory circle with the guys, the vanquishers, if you will, in one of the most amazing battles we've seen. Sandy?
Very happy, Scott Maxwell and Dave Embringham talking about that final pass. Dave's just telling Scott about it. Tell us, what were you thinking and how did it all get set up?
Well, we felt a little bit handicapped to the Corvette, but he got blocked in some lap traffic, and I had my chance, and I was able to get by him. And then for 2 laps, it was a little bit of door banging and blocking and on both parts, and just a lot of fun. Really enjoyed it.
What were you thinking?
I was just thinking, I want to win, you know. I want to thank John Lacey and Doncaster Racing and Multimatic, TELUS, CIBC. We just had a great weekend. Thank you.
Great winners. Dave Embringham there pulls it off, guys.
Boy, he did, and you can see right there just how intense Goad's final corner was as he tried to come after him, but just not enough. So they ended up taking the win. Goad ends up second. Goad came in with the points lead, of course, so that's going to help them. In a sense, but Embringham and Maxwell were able to make up some points as well. Fitzgerald did hang on for third and the like. Now the bigger story also as well was in the GS2 division. Overall, it's the number 53, 11th overall, but won in GS2 over Kenny Wilden and Benoit Teague in an equally close battle, perhaps not quite as rough and tumble, but an equally close battle. So an excellent job, and it gets them their second win, and they're standing by down, I believe, in victory circle with Guy Hobbs.
Yeah, we're with Nick Longy, who brought that car home in first position, as you say, in class, 11th overall, second win of the year. Got to feel good.
I feel great.